everybody. It's Dana Sullivan, the Stampin' Chick, with another Make It Monday. All right, let me just get everything set here. YouTube is just a little bit different than Facebook for the live. So let me just make sure I have everything how I need it to be. And let's see, I think that'll work. I hope that it will anyway. Hi, Miss Karen, how are you? Happy Monday to you as well. All right, looks like I have some folks coming in, so that's awesome. Let me know if you can see the card in full as it is right here, or if I need to make some adjustments. If you wouldn't mind to just give me a little hello shout so I know that I'm doing things okay and that you're able to see and hear me all right. I'm doing good, thanks, Miss Karen. I actually had a really busy weekend and had a lot of fun at a big dog show in Kentucky, and came home super excited about all sorts of things, and of course ready to be here with you guys this evening for Make It Monday. So let me know if the card is in. You can only see half of the card, but you can hear me. Okay, great. Let me move things a little. I may have to zoom out just a little bit. I'm in pretty close because I've done a YouTube live before. It shows like my whole counter and the floor and everything else, and then the card is really small, so I want to make sure that I have plenty of room for my card. So let's see, how's that then? Are we a little bit better now? Hi, Miss Sharon. Hi, Miss Tracy. How are you, ladies? There we go. I think that's really the angle that I was looking for. Okay, so I'll put that up there, put this one up here, and that should give me a little more room. Oh no, the picture's crappy now. Oh no. Okay, tell me if that worked out. I know I was playing with it a little bit, so maybe it was just having a hard time. There we go. How's that? Good placement, but video is blurry. Okay, let's see. It honestly could be because... Okay, much better. Okay, great. Hi, Michelle. How are you? Miss Linda, how are you? Oh, good. I see everybody's here. Okay, now that I have that set up, thank you so much for all of that help. Let me just get this stuff out of the way. You know, it's so funny. Technology is so interesting. When I set up my space for Facebook, I already know right about where the rectangle of viewing space is for that live video. And I had set up a YouTube live one time, and I used that same window of space, and then you could only see half of everything up here, but you could see my toes down at the end of my table down here, which was so weird. But anyway, that's okay. As long as we're good now, I guess we're good. Can you see my toes? That's the question. Can you see a little ruler on the table down here at the end? If you can't, then I'm good. Not that I care if you see my toes, but you know, I'd like you to have more room to see the card, of course. Oh, Miss Tracy, you're in bed. That's good. Cozy, comfy, and watching YouTube videos. That's always fun. All right, no toes. Yay! Okay. Well, I have a super fun and sweet card to share with you today. Honestly, I actually just got the Seize the Day Stampin' Die bundle a week or so ago, and the diorama, the layering diorama dies. And I've had a few really good ideas for it, and so I've just been chomping at the bit for these things to come in, and they finally came in last week. But I had to get ready for that weekend trip, of course, so I wasn't able to play with it. And so I've just been really excited to play, and I had a lot of fun today. So anyway, that's the products that we're going to be using today. Now, I actually am using quite a few different ink pads on this project today. I don't always use that many, but I really think that it needed it. Initially, I was thinking that this would be an all-white card with little touches of Pool Party and Coastal Cabana and nothing else. And I still may go with that theme, but I ended up going this direction when I started making all of the little sea creatures. So, you know, we'll see. You'll have to look and see when I post future projects to see that one. Okay, so I have the Stampin' Die bundle. For the ink pads, I'm going to be using Mossy Meadow, Highland Heather, Coastal Cabana, Poppy Parade, Calypso Coral, and Sahara Sand. All right. Now, I've done a lot of stamping already and die cutting because there is a ton going on here with this project. And, you know, you may have nothing better to do with your night than to sit and watch me for 2 hours. But, you know, folks don't normally want a 2-hour video, right? Okay. What I have done is I have already pre-cut layers using the diorama dies. Now, if you don't have these are so cool. I mean, there have been tons and tons of projects using these dies already. So you can go on Pinterest or Google and find tons of super cool projects using these. But the ones that I used were the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So the 3 middle ones are the ones that I've used. And then I've just cut them in layers for each panel. So I'll tell you what I mean. I've started out with a thick basic white card base. And this card opens this way. So it's 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored at 5 1/2 to give the card base. And then the front panels are 3 layers of basic white cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4 to make a standard card layer. And each of the 3 have been die cut with a different layer of the diorama dies. Okay, so there's the 3rd, 4th, and 5th largest, or 5th, 3rd smallest, 4th smallest, 5th smallest, however you want to look at it. The 3 middle layers, that's what I've used here. And then when you're starting with the card base, you're going to put the smallest layer down first, and then the second layer. I flipped it around so that it's not even and it's all cattywampus. And then the bigger one on top. So you get this nice cool layer of texture here. And then, of course, I've done some things in between. So I'm going to show you how we go about that. And then I've taken a piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock. This one measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Which is just 1/8 of an inch smaller all the way around than the basic white layers. So you see there, it's just a tiny bit smaller all the way around. And I used the big die from the Seize the Day bundle. So I used this one right here and cut that out. And I ended up with this. Okay. Now you can see this in the layers right here. All right, so I'll show you that. And I'm just telling you the step by step here first, and then we'll go through it together and we'll just do it. Okay. All right, and then I've cut out, and as I said, I've already pre-stamped to keep things quicker and simpler. The octopus is in Sahara Sand ink. I'll get to the jellyfish. I'm going to show you how I did that. The crab is Poppy Parade. The starfish is Calypso Coral. One fish, Highland Heather. The other fish, Coastal Cabana. And then the jellyfish, I used my sponge daubers and inked up directly onto the stamp to get the two different colors of Highland Heather and Calypso Coral. I absolutely love this technique. You get some really cool projects adding some multiple colors directly to the stamp. I could have done that with the fish too, and that would have been awesome. In fact, all of them could have used a little bit of like darker shades here and there, or multicolors in the fish especially. But I just did the jellyfish, so I'll show you that one here in just a bit. And then I die cut from a scrap of Mossy Meadow. I just used what I had on hand, and these are dies in the set as well. 3 of the little small seaweed sprigs, and then 1 big one. Okay, so that's what you're gonna need. And then I also used just a little bit of linen thread. Okay, so this is good. All right, hi Dawn, how's it going? Nice of you to join me, sweetheart. How are you today? Okay, so now we've got all of this stuff. I'm going to show you how I stamped the jellyfish first, and then I'm going to move on to assembling the card. Okay, so let me just slide this stuff out of the way for just a second. Let me grab my scrap of white cardstock here, and the Coastal Cabana, and the Highland Heather inks. Okay, now I have my sponge daubers already and my stamp. So I'm going to start out with the Highland Heather, and you're going to use the dauber the same way you would to stamp the stamp directly. So tap, tap, tap. You don't need to smush it down or rock and roll it. Just tap, tap, tap. And then tap and dab directly onto the stamp itself. So I'm going to tap, and then I'm going to come down the middle to get the center of the jellyfish. Now I'm going to come back in with the Coastal Cabana. I'm going to do the same thing, tap, tap, tap. And this time I want to start at the bottom of the little, someone help me out, tentacles. Going to work my way up. Okay, so I've tapped, and then I'm just going to dab onto this side. Tap in the ink, dab on this side, tap in the ink, go over each one again just to darken them up a bit, dab again, and this time I'm going to kind of go a little bit into the purple around the top and just a little in the middle. Okay, now when I slide that out of the way, give it a good firm press straight down, lift it straight up, and you end up with a gorgeous multicolored image. Okay, from here I can die cut it, and it is ready to go. So that's how I did the jellyfish. Okay, now I need my Coastal Cabana and a blending brush, and I'm gonna make the sea background here. You can see that it's got some of that beautiful Coastal Cabana color in the background. We're going to ink that up and brush on a nice little background for the water itself, and then we'll do a little bit of stamping on top of it. Okay, so I've got my card base here, and I'm going to try to keep my hand over it to keep it from auto-focusing too much. If you've never used a blending brush before, this is a super fun tool, and it's a really fun technique. This gives you a smoother blend than the sponge daubers do, so that's why I'm using it instead of the sponge dauber I just had. Okay, for this, all I'm going to do is draw up some ink, so I'm just rubbing along the ink pad, and I'm trying not to focus too much on the center because that's typically where we stamp. So I'm going to draw up some ink from the edges where I know there's a lot of ink in it. Okay, so we'll just draw up some ink. Let me grab my scrap paper here. because I like to tap off just once to make sure that I don't get any harsh lines. And then I'm going to just lightly start brushing right around the middle, just like so. Okay, and as you go, I'm going around. I'm just trying to remember to leave a good 1/4 of an inch around the outer edge, because I don't want any color to show beyond the layers of cardstock, right? So, and I really don't need it to cover the whole front anyway. I just need it to cover the opening behind all of the little diorama dies, okay? So we'll just color this in. There we go. You can check it to see if you've got it covered enough. Just grab the smallest die cut piece and see, and it looks like it's pretty good. I'm not going to worry too much about this little spot down here because we're going to be covering that up with some stamping. Okay, so we're not going to worry about that. All right, let me set that out of the way. Grab the Mossy Meadow ink and try not to get it everywhere. I'm going to use my little sprig piece here. We'll tap the ink, and I've just inked it up, so I'm going to try to be really light with it. And I want to come up along the edge here. I'm not worried about this because I'm covering all of this up, but I will make sure that I don't do it on the rest of this because it might show. Okay, a little bit there. Now I'm going to rinse my stamp, and only because I don't want to stamp off the edge. Or, you know what? Actually, let's be a lazy stamper and let's just do this. That works. I've got the scrap paper there. Let's just do that. Okay. There we go. All right, that's good. Lazy Stampers United, right? Okay, let me set that off to the side here. All right, now that I've got this piece, I'm going to go ahead and put that first layer directly down so that it covers things up. Okay. Just use some of our Stampin' Seal. There we go. All right, now then, I want to take a couple of my little green sprigs, and see, I told you we were going to cover it up. We're just going to come in, excuse me, we're just going to come in here and put these two pieces on. So I'm going to bring some liquid glue. Now, for those of you who typically watch me on Facebook, I would really like for you to comment and let me know if you like this platform any better, or if you're indifferent to it, because I'm thinking about doing my weekly lives on YouTube all the time instead of on Facebook, just because it saves me a step. Typically when I do my Facebook Live, I download it to my computer and then I upload it to YouTube because I don't use any of the fancy, you know, multi-platform live recording, whatever that's called. I don't do any of that stuff. So I'm very simple and basic, and so I thought that maybe if this worked out well, then I could just record to YouTube Live and then skip a step. So we'll see. Let me know what you think, okay? All right, now all I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to line it up even with the other one. So I really just want to make sure that it looks like this is all one piece, okay? So let me just check here. Wanted to double check to make sure that this was the layer that I attached my octopus to. I tried to put something between each of the layers just to give it a little more depth and dimension, right? And because I intended to mail this card out, I wanted to make sure that I remembered the rule of no more than 2 layers of actual dimension. So Miss Dawn, you prefer YouTube. I think I do too. So I'm hoping that everyone else is okay with it at least, and it'll work out for everyone, because I think that more people are able to see it on YouTube than even on Facebook. So I think that it probably works out better that way. All right, now I'm gonna put my octopus right here on the top of this layer, and I'm just kind of lining it up with this little bump. I just want it to just be peeking out. Octopi, is that right? Octopi? I think that's right. I need my daughter here. I think they like to hide a lot. And so I've got him just peeking out of the bottom here. And we're gonna put one little dimensional on his head. Once again, this is just to give some texture to the project. So the liquid glue is gonna attach him directly to the layer, and then his head will just be raised just a little bit, like he's sneaking a peek here. Okay, so there we go. And there we have that. I like that. Okay. Now then we have this piece. I'm going to cut all of these little bubbles off, because when I put it on here, you can see all the bubbles, and I thought that kind of looked weird. I didn't like all of the green up here. So what I'm going to do is just come in, and I'm going to get right behind the leaf and just cut away past all of those little bubbles. Okay, none of this is going to show, so it doesn't have to be pretty here. And then we're going to line it up with that leaf so that it looks like it ties in. Okay, now let's see how that looks. I can't recall if I tucked that or if I cut it, so we'll see. If it gives us trouble, we'll cut it. And it looks like I need to cut just a little bit more off up here. Sharon says it doesn't matter. That's good. I really think that it's tomato. For those of you who are normally on Facebook, one thing is that Instagram, oh my goodness, YouTube is a little better about sending out notifications than Facebook is, which is one of my issues with using Facebook for my live. It just seems like too many people are telling me that they didn't get notified that I was going live. And YouTube is generally pretty good about it, as long as you're subscribed to my channel, which, by the way, if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, you can click the subscribe button and click the little bell next to it, so that way you get notifications when I post videos and when I go live. And YouTube is seemingly generally considered better about doing that than Facebook is. So okay, now I'm going to take some liquid glue here and just going around the edges. We're going to attach this directly to the top layer. That way it's easier to attach to the whole card. And we're just putting adhesive around the edges here. There we go. I saw someone else had commented here. Oh, Miss Linda said whatever was fine too. Okay, great. All right, now then, put that down. Looks like that's going to work nicely. Make sure and pull it down just a tiny bit there. All right, there we go. That works. Okay. Now then, I'm going to use some adhesive foam strips. You don't have to if you don't want to. You could just use dimensionals. The adhesive foam strips are just a little bit thicker, I think, than regular dimensionals are. So it gives a little bit more lift to the layer than regular dimensionals does. But you can use either one, okay? Don't mind my little scrap there. I had a little strip I needed to cut, and that was it. Okay. Now, another cool thing that you could do right here is to put window sheet on the back side of this and turn this into a shaker, which would be really cool. You know, actually, you could cut a bunch of the little animals as confetti and let them be the thing that shakes around. That would be neat. Maybe I will do that. Maybe I'll do that on one of these cards. This has actually been a really fun set to play with, so I'm really enjoying it. There we go. Of course, if you make a shaker, just make sure that there aren't any gaps in the adhesive here. We don't need to worry about it because we're not doing that, but just make sure you're aware. There we go. Come back on here, friend. There we are. Now I'm going to use the rest of this piece to just put a couple of little spots right there. That way it doesn't sag. We'll put one there. Put one here. Here and there. Alright, there we go. If you have your take your pick tool, this is a good time to pull that out and use it. There we go. So, as I said, I was at this dog show in Kentucky, and I've never been to anything that big before, aside from Stampin' Up! Convention. But this was massive. There were thousands upon thousands of dogs. I think I had seen something that said 32,000 dogs. Holy mackerel, that's crazy. All right, I'm going to line this one up just like I have the others. Try to line it up with all three of the layers here, or get all three layers to line up together. There we go. All right. Okay, now's where the magic happens. We're going to add all of the cool little layers here. So we've got our foundation going on, which is great. I'm going to come in with the Coastal Cabana and the bubbles. And I'm not going to ink up the whole thing. I'm actually only going to ink up a little section. And I want to put some here and here for these two fish. And I really can't do it before this step because I need to see where they line up, right? So let's just see. I think right about here is going to be good for this one. Okay. And then right about here is going to be good for the next one. There we go. We'll see how we did here in just a moment. All right. I want dimensionals on the back of my fish. Now this is technically the same layer. You know, it's just one layer. This right here makes up a layer and like a quarter, so to speak. So these guys, even with a dimensional, are still lower than the diorama itself. So that's good. And then this fish will go here. This one's gonna go right about here. Okay. And then we're gonna put this greenery sprig right here, and I'm going to have to clip the bottom of it because the stem is a bit long, which is fine. It's a-okay to do that. Let's take some of our liquid glue, and I'm not going to worry about gluing over here because it's going to hang over, and I don't want all of these little bits to kind of stick. I want them to be free floating, right? It gives the ebb and flow of the ocean, so we'll keep it floating. Here we go, nice and easy with the glue. If you're heavy-handed, you may want to use the silicone craft sheet and a sponge or sponge dauber. I'm getting pretty good at being careful here. Sometimes I have a slip though, so. All right, here we go. We're going to put this down close to the edge, and we're going to make sure that this part doesn't go over the card base itself, okay? So we're within the confines of the card, and then we'll put this layer on top of that. Okay, here we go. I'll tell you, no matter how much fun you have away from home, it is always nice to be back. I've missed my people. All right, there we go. Okay, now then, my voice is going to get scratchy again. All right, I'm going to put my starfish there and my jellyfish here. Something to that effect. Okay. Again, we're only going to put glue on the edges that are touching the front of the card. If you go a little over, it's okay. I mean, nothing's going to happen to you. We just want to try to be as careful as we can not to. Okay, I'm going to do this half of the jellyfish and then his little tentacles down here. And somewhere in there, I think. Okay, I like that. All right. For the linen thread, I fussed with this for several minutes before I decided, forget it, this is how I'm doing it. So what I've done is I've taken my Stampin' Seal adhesive, and I'm just going to run a few little links of it there. And then I'm going to take my linen thread. I'm going to touch the end of it here. Come down and make a loop. Come back up and kind of twisting my thread as I go so that it makes another loop going the opposite direction. And now this time I'm going to come back into another loop and bring it to the front. And then I'm going to trim it so that it fits right there in that space. Okay? So that's a good cheating way to make those cute loops. Alright, and then we're going to put the crab on another dimensional. And this will now be officially two layers, actually a little over two. Like I said, this one's a bit thicker. But 2 layers of dimension going on here. Okay, and we'll just cover up those little ends just like that. All right, now that we've got that done, I'm going to bring in these beautiful rhinestone waves basic jewels and the take your pick tool. Grab a little bling bling there and there, and then one more down here. Okay. All right, so now that we've got the front of our card done, it's time to do the inside and the envelope. And you guys know I really like to do matchy-matchy from the insides to the envelopes. So let me just grab the crab and the starfish. And then I also intended to put a sentiment in there, but I had just had to re-ink my Mossy Meadow, so I wanted to wait for just a few minutes. Okay, this is the Poppy Parade. We'll do this on the inside with Mr. Crab here. Tap, tap, tap. And press. As you can see, I re-inked that too. Oh, I forgot to I forgot to take the backing off of those. Okay, hold on. There we go. And Calypso Coral with the starfish. There we go. Okay, and the sentiment with Mossy Meadow right here. Thanks from the depths of my heart. I think that's so cute. Okay, so again, we're tapping, not smushing, and then stamp it straight down there. Okay, now go back to the front. Give that just a second here. I'll turn it that way. Go back to the front and actually attach these fish. All right. You probably knew I didn't do that, huh? That's okay. Here we go. There we are. And there you have it, my friends. What do you think? Super cute. Absolutely adorable cards. It's got a lot of dimension, a lot of things going on. I am totally and completely in love with these diorama dies. Super fun. The Stampin' die bundle sees the day, and the sea dies. So cute. Absolutely adorable. I'm definitely going to have to use this one for my daughter's 18th birthday card. My goodness, she's going to be 18 in just a couple of weeks. The baby. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself, but anyway. All right, guys, if you liked this video, give it some love, give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you share it to your Facebook or other social media platforms. I would love, love, love for you to share my work with your friends. Oh, Miss Linda, I'm so glad you're going to order it. Oh, you're really going to love it. You're absolutely going to love it. It's gorgeous. And I'll tell you what, if you go over to Pinterest or Google or whatever and search either the diorama dies or seize the day, you'll find a ton of absolutely gorgeous projects. So it's really, really pretty collection of stuff. And don't forget that these rhinestones are only available while supplies last, or until I believe May 2nd. These are not in a catalog. These are just a special promotion that goes along with the Ocean Waves collection. So this is not in the catalog, but it would be on my website at danasullivan.stampinup.net. So feel free to shop my store. Here is my host code if you'd like to purchase. And until next time, my friends, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful evening. I will see you all later. Bye for now.